Hello and welcome to pmslounge.com. This is Lounge Fever, a series of videos where we answer your FAQs. So if you have any question related to project management, PMP, whatever, right, just drop them in the comments and I'll get back to you. The question that we are answering today is, can virtual teams use extreme programming? Now there's a bit of a context here for this video. We have covered a lot of content around extreme programming, and extreme programming is one of the ways, one of the methods that teams can use to deliver projects in an agile way, right? So agile is more than scrum. It is an umbrella which contains scrum, kanban, lean, extreme programming, you name it. So if you're going for pure agile related certifications like PMI-ACP, you should know much more than Scrum. Scrum, of course, you should know, but you should also know about extreme programming, lean, Kanban, and stuff like that, right? So definitely go check out the first link in the description, which will be an entire playlist of all the videos around extreme programming that we have already covered. And if you want to go over everything that we have covered in Agile, then check out the second link in the description. By the way, if you're into just these FAQ videos, then check out the third link, which will be all the FAQs around Agile that we have answered so far. And if you have a question, definitely drop it in the comments and I'll get back to you with a response in comment, or if your comment or question is good enough that I should be creating a video on it, then I will do so that it can help the community in large. So question for this video again, can virtual teams use extreme programming? And the reason this question comes up is because there are concepts like pair programming, right? Where two programmers are supposed to sit together, and this is a concept that comes in from extreme programming. So if you have virtual teams, if your teams are global and distributed, obviously they will not be able to take advantage of concepts like pair programming. But this does not mean that the teams do not use XP, right? The whole mindset of XP at the end of the day is about making the team work better. This is the whole idea behind XP. Make the team work better. So if there are some practices like pair programming, which is essentially impossible to follow, the team will work with what they have. Maybe they'll just join Zoom call between two programmers and they'll try to do pair programming. That's what they'll try to do, right? So it is about trying to make sure that your work, the code that you're delivering, is being done in a better way than your traditional ways of delivery, right? So that is why pair programming is something that XP teams use. Now, if your team is virtual, obviously this is something that you can think of doing virtually, right? So does this mean it is okay not to follow XP practices? Like, we are not necessarily following the pair programming practice, right? Because the pair programming practice says that the two programmers must sit together on the same computer, and we are doing a Zoom call here. So does this mean it is okay to not follow certain practices? Well, again, the point is that the focus of XP teams is on improving how they work together. So if there are constraints that make it challenging to follow certain practices like pair programming, of course, the teams have the autonomy to adapt and prioritize what works best for them. And that is the crux of the XP mindset, right? It is not about mindlessly adhering to certain practices just because the XP gods said so. It is about ensuring to improve the work that teams do together. And if there are constraints in following certain practices, teams have the autonomy, they will adapt and prioritize. And here's an example. There's a concept of daily scrum in Scrum, right? And this makes people resent Scrum sometimes, and in some cases they even resent the Scrum master, because there are days, there are times when a daily Scrum meeting is not required, but some Scrum masters might still want to have the daily Scrum because it is a practice that they mindlessly adhere to. That is definitely counterproductive, And this is why it says here nagging people about following practices is always counterproductive. So if you cannot do pair programming because your team is distributed, you can allow your teams to maybe use Zoom or maybe not use the practice of pair programming altogether, right? But don't nag people to follow practices just because the XP gods said so, right? So, communication is one of the XP values. There are 5 values in XP: courage, respect, communication, feedback, and simplicity. So, obviously, communication is important. And sitting together and conveying information face to face, this is the best form of communication. So by no means are we saying that communication is not important, or communication as a value in XP is not important. We are not saying that. But what we are saying is that when it is not possible to sit together and do pair programming, the team has the autonomy, the team is going to work with what they have. I had done a podcast with Johanna Rothman, who talked about different concepts like pair programming, swarming, and it is a fantastic podcast episode. I'll share a link to it, the fourth link in the description, and you can check that podcast out. It is fantastic nuggets around Scrum, Agile, and how Agile teams can function, right? So I hope this answers the question about how virtual teams can also follow XP practices and they have the autonomy to make changes as needed. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and share this video with at least one friend who you think might benefit. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.